athletes in there, as a sports person, as a footballer especially, your nutrient needs are higher than the normal.
A segment with Esther Mensah, who is a dietitian, and I decided to give us some tips as we continue to keep fit, and also for many players that get to watch this program in their relaxed mode, to know that dieting is not always on the high or that expensive, but they have to combine sports and dieting to get the results that they want. So she continues her series. We'll take a listen to that and we are back.
Segment. This is Esther Mensah, registered dietitian and known as opulent dietitian. In our previous session, we learned the importance, or we got to know the importance of nutrition in sports, where we made mention of performance, focus, attention, recovery, fueling, and then preventing fatigue. I made mention of a lot of nutrition in there. So basically, nutrition is having the various food nutrients in their right proportion with regards to sports. That is when we talk about nutrition in sports. So today we're looking at more about the nutrition, what the nutrition composes of, what nutrition is about. Basically, you have two main components, which is the major nutrients and then the minor nutrients, the macro and then the micronutrients. We all know our carbohydrates, our protein, our fats, and oil. These are the major ones. But when it comes to nutrition in sports, it's quite different from the overall, because of the various athletes in there. As a sports person, as a footballer especially, your nutrient needs are higher than the normal, or higher than the ordinary person. And so 45 to 65% of your nutrients or your meal should compose of carbohydrates, and it should be more of complex carbohydrates. As you stay tuned for subsequent episodes, you get to know more of the practical session of these nutrients that I'm talking about. Then you have protein and you have fats and oil. Now, for the carbohydrates, energy, most of the energy you use for your training sessions and then during the game, you get it from carbohydrates. When I talk about carbohydrates, you have your cereals and grains, okay? And so you would have to have about half of your plate should be carbohydrate, that is complex carbohydrates, rich in fiber. And these are the first source of energy for you during your training session and then during the game itself. With regards to the carbohydrates, mainly should be complex carbohydrate. When I say complex carbohydrate, I mean your cereals and grains, which are rich in fiber as well. Example, maize, rice, millet, wheat. These are foods that are complex carbohydrates. We also have the tubers as well, yam, cassava. They are all complex carbohydrates, but because of the fiber content, that is soluble fiber that you're looking at, which is good for your health, that is why about half of your plate should be more of the carbohydrates, okay? And also, let's come to the protein. That is where most of you, especially footballers, focus on, because protein helps to repair your worn out tissue, mostly after recovery. Some people take the protein before meal. If you stay tuned for subsequent sessions of this sports nutrition in sports, you get to know when you should take your protein, at what time you take your protein, and then when necessary. All right, so protein, for example, your protein from animal source or from plant source. From plant source, it could be beans, soya beans. From your animal source, you could have your egg, which most of you use. So egg, fish, meat, the offals, that's the kidneys, the meat, the fish, the eggs, you know most of them. And so it depends on the proportion, the quantity you are taking at a particular point in time. That is what's going to contribute to the kind of performance, the recovery, and then the repair of the worn out tissue you want. And also finally, your fats and oil. Yes, so as an athlete or as a footballer, definitely we need some percentage of the fats and oil. That should be between 20 to 30. These nutrients, the goal is that you should have it as a balanced meal. There should be that right proportion in there, that they should be balanced, not just having about 90% of the carbohydrates, your banku or your kenke or your rice, and then you have your stew, and then you are set to go for training or for a game. No, you should have your carbohydrates, you should have some amount of protein, and you should have some amount of fat and oil. And as I made mention earlier on, as we go on, you get to know when you should increase them intermittently to balance your energy and then your nutrient intake. Thank you very much for watching this segment. See you in the next session.